Any questions? Yes.
So you mentioned the two streams of Hizr alayhi salam. I just want to ask about
So, as science is now discovering that water is water, but based on its association. So you have water that's recycled, that comes into your taps. But you have water which is called mineral water. And you ask yourself, what is mineral water? And they will tell you that it's mineral because it's had association with stones, with minerals. So that association has purified it. So the water has a personality in itself. So water can perform many actions and heal and even poison based on, like the Prophet ﷺ said, do not leave your food or beverage without cover at night. When you come in the morning, your beverage is the same beverage, but it could be fatal for you. Why? Because a jinn could be passing by and either blow something into it or put something into it which may not be visible to the eye. It changes its hair. So likewise, there are two streams that on their own they don't have that power, but where they merge, there is such a magnetic force of that water that anything in its vicinity that is dead comes back to life. For example, and the example is from the Quran, they not only caught a fish, they barbecued it. They fried it. They cooked it. In those days, they didn't have the same facilities. They just put it on a fire. They cooked it. It was chopped in pieces. Cooked it. Put it in their basket and left. The basket was here. The water was there. Such is the magnetic force of that water that even the fish that had been sliced, diced, spiced. How more poetic. That was a fluke. Sliced, diced and spiced. But such was the force of that water that it attracted that dead fish like a magnet. It went into the water, from the basket, into the water, reformed itself and started fishing. When Musa a.s. and his companion saw that, he said, this is the water, and if this is the water, the person we are looking for will also be here. Because every 100 years, Khizr alayhi salam drinks that water, and what does it do? It goes in him and revitalizes all his organs. Otherwise, our organs as humans are subject to the law as described in Surah Yasin, وَمَن نُعَمِّرْهُ نُنَكِّسْهُ. As we grow, they become weaker. But that water replenishes those organs, replenishes those cells, so much so that it brings youth to the body again. Yeah. So that water is around. It's certainly not in. It's certainly not in Japan, and it's certainly not in America. I mean, Khizr al-Islam, Musa al-Islam, if you check their geolocation, you can't go far off, but it's there, And it's really funny because someone was talking about this movie Wakanda, about African people being so advanced. But actually, I told this African girl, I said, this concept is based on a real life concept. They just created this Wakanda as a thing that, there's a race of, people, black people who are so advanced that they think bullets are, what is the word? Bullets are old-fashioned, as a means of weaponry. But actually, in Africa, there was a civilization known as the Timbuktu. Now, in English language, you see how they've watered it down. If in English language, if you say Timbuktu, that's like a derogatory remark. Where are you going? I'm going Timbuktu. It's like, but there was actually a civilization in Africa called Timbuktu, and in their scrolls, thousands of years later, there is mention of Musa alayhi salam, Khizr alayhi salam, and the water of life. They call it the water of life, Abe Hayat. Yeah.
So, that's on Earth.
Yes.
Is it on the Earth?
In Africa. Absolutely, it's in Africa. Africa is a very, very rich country of purity. Worst thing is, the people who live there, they starve, and the minerals from their lands are being the subject of a $1 billion industry. As Faiz Ahmad Faiz once said, "Jis khet se dehkan ko muyassar na ho roti, jis khet se dehkan ko muyassar na ho roti, us khet ke har khosha gandam ko jala do." He said, a farmer who plows his land all day, if he can't feed his stomach, he may as well burn that land. What he was referring to was the old system where the poor guy, plows the land all day, whilst the profits of that labor are enjoyed by some other person, and he's making a profit out of it. But this guy who's doing this work, he can't even feed his belly once a day. So the Shaykh says, "Jis khet se dehkan ko muyassar na ho roti, us khet ke har khosh hai gandam ko jala do." Just burn it down. What's the use? Very rarely do you find a group of verses which talk about players and politics in this way. And that's what these people were. Players and politics. وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ